everybody. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the patience the last few days. I think you all saw the statement today. We decided to part ways with Coach Nick Nurse. We want to wish Nick Nurse and his family the best of luck. Thank him for everything he's done in this organization, including helping us win incredible championship, incredible 10 years. So tough times, and had a great conversation and conversations with Nick today and the last week, and we really wish him the best of luck with his family. It's a good question, Doug. I think that game the last year summed up like what has gone on in this organization, the feel, the spirit of who we really are. It's been very disappointing for us, and we want to gain our momentum back as a team. Togetherness, all the things that I think culture we have stood for here, I think we lacked this year.
Did you see that eroding over time, or did it just sort of pop up in the last month of this season?
Well, you could see it throughout the year. There was never that full excitement. There was never that full spirit. There was never that feel of like togetherness. We all saw it. You all saw it. It's not something we're making up here. We win 2, and then all of a sudden, like it goes another way. You seem like you're gaining, and then it goes another way. And it's not one person or one finger to point, and there's no pointing a finger at Nick. I have to take responsibility for this too. And as a leader of this organization, I will always do that. But it wasn't us. Yeah, this year wasn't us. I think everybody saw that.
Sorry, why did you, when you say you pointed the way things kind of unfolded this year, and the team was very inconsistent. Often inconsistency often comes when a roster is kind of challenged, doesn't have the qualities that needed. When you make the argument Nick did a really good job finding ways to be competitive with some of the shortcomings with the roster. So how did you deal with that in your conversations with Nick, and why did you decide it was a new coach that was needed versus replenishing the roster?
I think changes are going to be made on all fronts, and we're going to address that with the team. We saw how different players on our team would rise, would do well, but we never did it like collectively, and maybe that could be fit, maybe that could be sometimes system, sometimes role orientation, sometimes accountability, all the things that we think we're going to really look at, in how our roster is built. But we believe in the players we have, and whether it's tweaks or major changes, we're definitely going to look at everything.
Masai, what are some of the qualities and characteristics you're looking in for Nick's replacement?
We're going to go into that right after we get through this. To be honest, we haven't gone through that exercise yet. It's going to be a lot of conversations just internally, talking to Bobby and the crew on some of the things we're going to need, obviously looking at the roster and the fits. But we got to build spirit back here, like the culture those things that bring us together, like to move like we've always done here. And we need that back. This is very crucial for us. With our culture, again, I'll continue to say that. It's very vital for us to have incredible energy, that lifts people and gets us to work together, have that overall organizational goal, like to go win. And let's see, build next few years and see how that goes.
Knowing how competitive you are and how much you hate to lose, how difficult was this past season?
I think it was difficult for all of us, Steve, everybody. It's really difficult. I never look at, honestly, I never look at the last 10 years, like all I think about is how you win. Like I almost think that sometimes we almost have to like validate the championship we won. Like that's how much we have to win here. And I believe that we're going to win again in Toronto. Yeah, I feel strongly about that. But to watch us play this year was not us. I did not enjoy watching this team play. And I think that spoke loud and clear to everything that I think went on this year. And it bothered all of us. It bothered coach too, but sometimes we have to make change and we have to move forward. We're about winning here, and I think we've not only said it, we've at least tried to do it. And that's where we're going to continue to go.
Sorry, I was just saying, you said the team was lacking the energy, the spirit, the culture. Did you have discussions with players before making this decision to part ways with Nick, and was that something that was expressed from players?
No. To be honest, like we met as a front office staff. We met with Nick continuously after the season was over. And that was the process. That's our process here after every season, is we evaluate. But we had conversations with players when they were leaving, and they expressed themselves in many different ways, and again, it's not one thing you can't point a finger at just one thing. But yes, they express themselves about many things.
You mentioned system earlier, and that's something that Fred kind of talked about last week, is that he thinks it's time maybe to rethink the identity and the style of play. He mentioned chaos and offensive freedom specifically. Is that something that you agree with, and is that something that you'll strongly consider when looking for the next head coach, is that next identity or style of play?
Yes, it has, like whoever we're interviewing, whoever we're bringing in, like has to, convince us of, like a good style of play that we think, like will fit us, fit our culture, fit at least some of our players or the players that we have. As you guys know, in the NBA, you can't make every change, all at once. So we have to build through this. Yes, like style of play is going to be really key, like to what, how this new head coach like defines what he wants to do here.
Do you expect any of Nick's front row assistants back, or is this going to be wholesale changes?
We're making big changes, but I'm sure Bobby will have conversations, I'll have conversations with some of, with the staff, and we go from there.
Masai, at the trade deadline, you mentioned that the team was playing selfish, and you were hoping that Yak would help address some of that with his style of play. Over those final 25 games or so, what encouraged you? What were your expectations? How did things play out?
In Yak, I know a lot of people questioned, like what we were trying to do at the trade deadline, and just to explain it again, The way the NBA is situated now is there's a lot of parity in the league, I think we see, and you don't necessarily have to tear down your team, like to build it back up. And I understand the draft, and I think there are ways that we can get into there. I think we have the abilities to draft well, but getting a top 10 center in the league that I think fits with our team in terms of a lot of the things we needed to address. Number one, selfishness. Number two, I think Jakob has a lot of high basketball IQ, a pass-first center, and I call players like that a championship piece, because you can put him on any of the teams now, maybe except the ones that have great centers, but you can put a player like that on that team, and he fits in right away, and we have to figure out some other parts, but that caliber of a player to me, is worth us paying attention to. Everybody always says, oh, why don't you have a center? Why don't you have a center? Why don't you have a center for a long time? And it's just finding the right one, finding the ones that can fit and can play. And at least we found a piece there that hopefully, as we build these pieces together, can amount to that.
Are you happy with the way that the younger players on the roster, guys in and out of the rotation or with 905 have been developed at this point?
I think the answer there is no. Obviously, some of them played more than the others. I think out of all the young players, maybe Christian got maybe the most opportunity. Can't tell with the top of my head with minutes, but with Malachi and Delano and Ron and Precious and all the young players we have, I think one of the things we talked about was maybe utilizing some of these players a little bit more, giving them a room to actually show if they have or if they don't have. And I think we didn't do so well, with that this year. And I think that hurt us some in developing our young players.
Talk about culture as a foundational element, but it's very opaque. How do you rebuild culture after part of it has been lost? Specifically, what can you do?
I think it's by making major changes sometimes, and this is a major change we've made. There are things you have to shock, you have to hit, you have to, I think there has to be some kind of friction some way to do that. The culture here has been honestly we love it. It's incredible. I think we follow the culture of an incredible city, people, humility, everything that we stand for here, togetherness, and we lost some of that, but I don't think it's nothing that we cannot build right back up again. Some of this stuff sometimes, when these things happen, not winning pronounces it a little bit more, but we believe we'll get right back, even if it's slowly back to where we feel that we can be as an organization and as a team.
Just following up on that, do you see it kind of as a parallel to 2018, when you needed that friction and obviously made the coaching change and the big trade? How do you compare the franchise now to that point?
Honestly, I never look back, maybe one day I'm in a farm in Nigeria, 20 years from now, I'll be able to look back at those things. I don't look at them like that, I always want to look at what we can do, how we can build this thing to be, how to win, we always want to win here. It's that's what sports is about, and so honestly, I don't compare and look back, I was different era, different time, different, some different players, and hopefully we can build back to where we're at that level where we want our culture to be.
Is there anything you can take from that coaching search to this one that you learned along that way, or is it just two different situations now?
No, I think the coaching search is different. You know, like I think Teresa, Dan, Bobby, they did an incredible job in just detailing like the process of what we go through in finding a next person to do this job, and we're actually even learning more to see what the nuance of these kind of processes are going to be, and we'll put that in place. You know, like I'm excited about that. You know, because you get to meet people with different minds and different types of thinking. You know, with the mindset of winning.
Do you have a timeline in place?
Not yet, Doug. You know, this has been hard. You know, like the last week and a half, and I think once this day has gone through, you know, like then I think later on this evening we can begin to like attack all those things then.
You don't want somebody by draft lottery or?
I think having somebody by the draft will make sense for us. You know, like I think that would make sense for us to go into that with a head coach.
There's an old expression that you win a championship and you walk together for the rest of your lives.
You do what?
You walk together or stand together for the rest of your lives.
Yes.
I've heard that in many sports.
Yes.
Knowing that and knowing what happened here, how difficult emotionally was this party?
Very.
Masai, you say you look at everything, looking for other major changes. Player-wise, are there any untouchables, players that you want to keep building with?
You know how difficult it is. You know, like I just saw Nick. You know, like we met this morning. You know, like, and when you see him and he says, "Good luck with those guys," you know, like that's tough. You know, like he means well. You know, like, and we mean well for him too. You know, like there was nothing contentious, nothing. It was actually like an unbelievable thing to go through that process, like with him and the spirit that he had, you know, like through this. So I commend him for that. I commend Bobby too for that. The whole organization, you know, like you are right. We're bonded in something that will never, ever, you know, like go away.
Why did you feel the need to meet with Nick, you know, not just this morning to let him go, but through this process? Like you know, you had 83 games in 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, what were you hoping to accomplish or learn, or why was he willing to participate in these meetings this week? Like, what was the process there?
Because of the year we went through, because of what we've gone through the last 3 years, you know, like it's not been easy, you know, with everything, you know, and I have to look at myself too in the mirror with these things, you know, and I think we're winners. We want to be winners here, and we're detailed. We're just a detailed organization, you know, and if a coach or an employee or a player is not offended by the details and everything we're going to go through, we're going to do it like respectfully. We're going to go through that, you know, and you to me, you have to do that. He's a great basketball mind, so we really have to do that. We have to look at the future, you know, and things that will help us also, you know, like as I said, this is humility, right? You know, like this is us as human beings and sports bringing us together. We all have to get better. We all have to get better, but winning and the future is where we have to look.
Was there a possibility in those conversations, conclusion could have been, you know, it's more of a roster issue or a scheme issue, and are we willing to address either of those things? And if so, let's continue. Like, was that on the table at all?
The decision has been made.
I know now, but
Yes.
I'm saying as you're going through it,
Yes, everything was.
inevitable, it was going to end with him being fired.
No, everything was on the table. Everything was on the table.
Just going back to steer culture for a quick second, when Nick made those comments in Philly pre-game, what kind of shift did you see or how did it impact steering culture? Because I know you talked about the city and events, that you saw there was an impact there and it clearly was brought up to your team a lot. How did you see it kind of impacted there?
Yeah, to me, I think I'd lose my mind if I had to talk to you guys every day. Seriously, seriously, I'd lose my mind, but I honestly, what George Carr used to tell me? He said, I'm going to make 6 mistakes every year. 6. So you have to give me 6 mistakes, okay? And he'd make 1, he'd make 2, he'd always tell me about it, so I think, maybe possibly like Nick made a mistake that day, I didn't use it in this whole process at all. For me, the timing was not great, but honestly, when losing things, I don't, like just a little bit of experience that we have, I'm not gonna use that against like Nick, so I think he knows that it was a mistake and we all moved on from it.
Masai, you talked a lot about how the culture shifted this year, but do you know why it shifted? Do you have a theory?
It's a good question, Mike. I think sometimes there comes a time when there's a little bit of complacency, I think. And when there was a little bit of complacency with us, I think some selfishness seeped in. I think sometimes people mention contracts too, but I personally don't think contract is an issue because I think historically here the players know that we've taken care of the players here. There's been barely any players that's kind of what we do. We like continuity here. So I didn't see where that was an issue, but some people would say accolades and all the different things that players can get or what they are gunning for. But yeah, selfishness, I think I mentioned it before, and I think the players know that. They know. I think did that happen because of the system or different things that we did, or was it them individually? Again, I'm not going to point fingers now. I just want to know how we are going to do better. And whoever wants to do better, whoever wants to play the right way, whoever wants to win is going to come with us.
Like clockwork, your name has been associated with some openings. Your intention is still to stay in Toronto and lead this coaching search and be here for a while?
Until you guys kick me out, I'm going to be right here with you guys.
How tough was it to balance this season, just the different directions this team could have gone? Obviously, with the trade deadline, there was a million rumors around this team. Just mentally, how hard were those conversations to kind of navigate, not only this season, but sort of the future of the franchise?
Yeah, I think with where the NBA is, again, I mentioned parity. At the end of this season, I said it before, there's going to be 29 disappointed teams, no matter how you look at it. And I think the trade deadline is a hype machine, there's a lot of hype around it, and I don't know that I'll say you can make long-term decisions unless you have, you're deciding to go just one direction or break down your team. So I think a lot of the options we had at the end at that time will be available for us, at the end of the season.
Masai, you guys were coming off of such a high the previous season. When did you feel that things started to shift?
Even last year, like when you're a growing team like us, like did we kind of overachieve a little bit? And um, and then this year, where do you measure that? Like with what happened last year. Honestly, like those few first games when we came in, like you went in thinking you can win any game. I think we had the confidence of that, like, and right around the New Orleans game and the Brooklyn game, I think it just, something there, like just didn't seem right, to be honest. Like, and it started, Doug, you remember? Yeah, I know, Grange, you remember, you were there. And it didn't, there's something there that did not seem right at all, like, and from there it started taking a turn. But when you play the team, you're in a season, you hope, like you want to do, like you want to do better, you see signs, and, but yeah, it just was tough from there. I think they've been good, like I think they've been good. I think Fred struggled the first half of the season, I think, and I think his body got right. He got right. I always say it, when Fred's body is right, he's right, like, and he did well. I think Pascal had an all-star season, all-NBA, hopefully all-NBA season, and we just have to figure out how all of that fits, like with our team, like going forward. But yeah, those guys, have been good for our club, and they bring us that experience of what we've gone through before.
You had talked before the season that your hope and intention was to have Fred here for the long term. Has any of that changed after this season?
Nothing has changed, like everybody, we're going to do the same exercise we've done, like, and look through everything and look at, style of play of a new coach, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and we go from there.
When considering hiring a new coach, obviously winning and the results aside, what's the number one quality that you're looking for? Is that style of play, or is that another aspect?
It's a good question. Yeah, character, quality of a person, like I think energy, what kind of energy is are we going to get, because we need that now, discipline, style of play, like just so many things that we're going to look into as we start this search.
You mentioned the lack of development at the back end of the roster. A lot of people are specifically concerned with Scotty's. There was reports about work ethic. There was reports about you meeting with him. I'm curious how you view how the organization has prioritized his development and how he's prioritized it on his own end as well.
Yeah, I think we should always remember, like that Scotty is 21 years old too, and it's a baby, and yes, I understand the concerns there was about last summer, like, and when I think you come into the league and you're being pulled from different directions, like it's sometimes tough. I remember being with him here, like, and him crying to me that he didn't want to go to the to the NBA finals, like, because he had to go do something, like, and there's so many things, so many pools, like, and but I think Scotty understands the discipline. Scotty understands his talent. Scotty understands, what's at stake, and I think you started to see that growth and that change, like a little bit over the course of the season. And I think he grew a lot this season and realized a lot this season. You guys have to understand too that Scotty is from the COVID year, like, and jumping into this is different. Like, this is new to his life, and I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments, you know, like he's going to do this summer and how he comes back, you know, in the future for the Raptors.
Masai, you may not be able to answer this, but the amount of time you spent with Nick this past week and a half, did you ever get the sense that he was ready to move or ready to go?
I never looked at it that way. Honestly, I didn't pay attention. I didn't pay that any attention, you know, or look for that. Yeah.
Masai, you mentioned a need for self-reflection. I'm curious, in your personal process, what changes do you think you can make to improve this team?
Yeah, many things. Look at the roster, you know, like maybe in a different way. You know, I think we have to figure out like shooting on this roster in some kind of way. We have to figure out who fits and who doesn't fit. You know, like I think on the overall, maybe manage people better. You know, and maybe see things a little bit deeper. You know, like because when we hire people, you know, like I let them do their jobs, you know, like that's been a strength of ours, you know, like the last 10 years here, you know, like, but I'll pay attention now, like to be a little bit more.
Masai, at Media Day, you said that, OG's not a kid anymore, that he's going to show that he's one of the leaders on this team, and this was a big season for him. How proud were you of the season he had, leading the league in steals and potentially making an all-defensive team?
I think he grew, you know, more importantly, you know, like as a person, you know, when we met with him in his, I don't like to call them exit interviews because exit interviews are like old now, you know, we just meet with these guys and discuss. And he was very mature about it, you know, like very precise, very mature, and even his interaction, you know, with us. So you saw the growth in the season, you saw the end, and hopefully that translates into, you know, like really good team play and team chemistry because he is one of the best two-way players in the NBA, you know, like pound for pound.
Masai, when it came to Jeff Dowden, how do you think your team handled that situation, and kind of can you go through why he wasn't, included as part of that play-in group?
You know, the development of Jeff has always been, I think we played him in as many games as we can, but it just came to a time, I think, when we maybe ran out of games, and there was an organizational decision, you know, like to choose Will to play in those games because we needed maybe more experience if we were gonna play more. And also we knew that Jeff is part of this team. He's going to be part of this team in the future. Jeff has been here every day here, so maybe not handled the best way, but I think the overall view of this is Jeff is part of our future.
Your decision not to use Thad in the final 14 games, was that a coaching decision or an organizational decision? And was that more about basketball or the business side of it?
Yeah, nothing. We don't do that. You know, like everything is basketball here. You know, like I don't pay attention to like what, like honestly, like when I heard that, I was like, what's going on here? You know, like coach can play anybody he wants to play, and I don't control anybody's minutes or what they do.
Masai, when you look at most of the teams that are, kind of the bottom third of the league, the bottom third of the league, you can kind of see what their direction is, what their plan is. Who knows if they're going to execute it. How would you articulate your plan? I know you can't give us A, B, C, this is what you're going to do, but you have 3 free agents in your top 6. You're down a draft pick. You're down 3 second picks.
There were 26 teams in the NBA a week or 2 weeks before the playoffs that could possibly make the playoffs. There's parity in the league, and I just don't view that breaking down a team is the only way to build a team. I think when I look at the trade deadline or I look at players that we have, I think there's a lot of value. When you talk about the pick, I think we got something that's a huge piece. So I don't consider it that we lost a piece. We got Jakob Poeltl by it. And in terms of plan or building a team, you continue to build, you continue to win, you continue to build these young guys to get better. And I think they're getting better individually, but we didn't get better as a team. So that's on me, and we'll figure it out. If our players were not getting better or didn't have value, or then I think there would be issues. But our players have value, and they got better individually, but we didn't get better as a team. Lastly, when I look between 41 wins and 47 or 48 wins, what's the difference? And I remember in Denver, when I was in Denver, you can win 51, 56, 50, whatever we won there. Kobe Bryant was coming to kick your ass. Yeah, every day. You knew what the end game was. Do you know what the end game of this playoffs is going to be? Guarantee you nobody knows. Not one person knows who's going to win this year. Yeah, can't say.
Right, but in terms of like building a more robust roster, right?
That comes over time.
It's good to have higher picks. You traded down in the draft last year.
Mm-hmm.
Other teams went the other direction at the trade deadline, and then they're well ahead of you in the lottery, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And absent the ability to draft really good players or really good prospects, the top third of the draft, let's say, how do you kind of find that next player that can fit with a group where your top two players are almost 30 or 30?
You build up to that. I think we still have draft picks going forward, trades, getting better. You never know what's going to come your way in this league. At the end of the season, there's always a player that wants to move or wants to change. That's the new free agency, basically. Yes. Everybody wake up to that. Everybody says, will free agents come, will free agents come, will free agents come. Free agency doesn't happen anymore, really. The new free agency is players change teams.
Players have a lot of power now, even when it comes to the trade market. Like, they often push their way to certain teams. So when you talk about the culture and all of that stuff, how important is it to become an attractive market to those star players who might eventually hit the trade market? Like, how much of a focus is it just to, again, be an attractive market for those teams?
I think will always be an attractive market. I think that's sometimes a little bit overrated. I think will always be an attractive market. It just depends on the player and the type of player.
You mentioned Scotty's youth and to take him as he is as a young player. Do you think his personality meshes with the guys who are sort of who are the most experienced and at the top of the roster with your team?
Sometimes those things show when you're now winning. Last year, I don't think there was a concern about that. I think that's fair. I think your question is fair too, but we'll get it back together to winning. And again, Bobby, we are going to look at fit, and changes that we can possibly make. But I don't necessarily think it's like personality or character. These guys have really high character, and yes, Scotty's 21 and Pascal is 28 or whatever, but it's all playing together.
When it comes to the draft, there was a few years where somebody was selected after 20 and went on
Yeah, I don't think you could tell what Pascal was going to be after like 1 year or 2 years. I don't think we can tell like what Koloko is going to be yet. And I don't know that we can tell what Delano is going to be yet. You know, like that's incredible young talent, you know, like, but just hasn't panned out on the court. Malachi, been up and down, but I think there's talent. It just hasn't come out yet, and we're still developing, and this takes time sometimes. And yeah, maybe we could be wrong, you know, like, but we still believe in those kids as talents.
Was there too much of an emphasis, or maybe hope is a better word, on internal growth going into the season as opposed to addressing some of those things, many of which you've already talked about, that were issues last year as well, from shooting to half-court offense? Like, was there too much pressure, I guess, on the guys in place to get better in those areas?
Well, we've always said it's not going to be like straight line, you know, like, and this is the bump in the road, you know, like, these things happen, you know, like, study some other teams, you know, like, Boston went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they were a 500 team, I think, if I remember right, you know, like, but these things take time, you know, like, there's no more patience in sports. But to your question, Josh, we've always emphasized that, you know, like internal growth, you know, this is what we've always tried to do here, you know, like, and it's the same questions everybody had with, you know, like the other guys, you know, like, but sometimes it just takes time, you know, and you know what, if that doesn't work, you know, like, guarantee you will find a way.
How would you characterize your relationship with MLSC and ownership as a whole over the past few seasons?
It's been great. You know, I have no issues with anybody, you know, and Larry Tannenbaum, Merkel, Edward Rogers, everybody, you know, like, we have a way that we do business that has worked for years, you know, like, and we'll continue to do it. Larry is the chairman of the team, and I report to him, and they let me work here, and there's been no issues at all.
We're coming up on 45 minutes, everybody, and I know that Masai will stay as long as you need, but we're getting close to the end. So last couple questions.
What's the status on sort of Jacob and does he still figure as somebody you want to have available to you on the roster, or obviously going to fill the need as you get healthy, but what's the situation going forward with him? Just having the team.
Yeah, that was the beginning of like another unfortunate situation, you know, like you get an experienced shooter, you know, like a big player that has a great basketball IQ and could fit in with this team, but never worked out and had to have surgery. So we'll see how his surgery heals. He's in that process now, but the plan is for him to heal and be part of the roster next season.
Do you see the new CBA coming in? Does that impact? Can you see yet how that might impact any of the changes or how you go forward, or is it too soon to kind of digest what's coming? You know?
I think it's too soon, you know, like, and I'm not sure I'm even allowed to comment on anything.
So you've seen the last two seasons building around forwards, right? And we sort of talked about that a lot in the media.
Building around what?
Forwards,
Okay.
6'9" forwards, some of that.
Mhm.
What have you taken away from the strengths of that strategy, and what are some of the weaknesses of that strategy in your opinion?
Well, these strategies, you know, like we talk about them, you know, like until you win, it's not working basically. You know, like that's what I've learned. I know, even the way Golden State played, I think George Karl played that way, Donnie Nelson played that way, D'Antoni played that way, right? You know, like, and until you win, you know, like it's not, yeah, it's always going to be some kind of a failure or not successful, you know. So to put it, you know, like, but we believe in it, you know, like we just have to add more shooting, you know, and but yes, we still believe in guards and players that are less than 6'9", you know, like it's not that we don't, but sometimes it's hard to find, you know, like those kind of guys that but we still believe in what we do.
Do you believe in shooting as a skill that anyone can sort of develop, or do you need to add more shooting sometimes with players who have already proven that they can shoot at a high level?
I think you can develop shooting depending on your mechanics and form, but yeah, sometimes these shooters are guys that just have it, you know, like inborn in them.
The league has been changing a lot over the past, I mean, one season to 2 or 3 seasons especially. You can see that in the playoffs. Do you think that this team is still ahead of the curve in terms of building a team for the future?
I'm not going to be one of those that sits here and says we're ahead of the curve, you know, like we're trying to win, you know, like we're going to try to win, you know, like and be the best in the NBA. And I think we have to look forward to the next 10 years, to the next 5 years, you know, like we have to build that. I don't believe that it happens overnight. And we've seen that. You know, it's not a straight line. It's not linear. We've said that before. We're going to have ups and downs, and this one was one of the downs.
Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.